Okay. Well, hello if you're watching the highlight, and hi to everyone who's watching this live on stream. I am going to finally talk about the first round of concept art for the game, and I want to make sure that you are aware that this is just concept art. It's not something that you'll see in the real game yet. All of the art that I've been using in Botland so far, and all of the UI, none of it's final. The art especially, you will probably not see any of these graphics, and it's not like these were fancy graphics to begin with the square projectiles. But these were made by another artist for the prototype of the game. I really like the artwork, but yeah, we'll be moving forward. So remember, this concept art I'm about to show you is not supposed to replace these images. It's just supposed to inform the tone, the decisions about art for whatever does replace these images. So I will show you this, and let's start off. So it's not currently on screen yet. I'm trying to navigate to the right point in this document. Okay. So here we go. So here are some example bots. We told someone that there's a story we have to Botland, and I haven't shared a lot of that. Hang on a second. I haven't shared a lot about this story, but I'll try to give you relevant details without telling you too much for right now. So in Botland, people from around the world make bots, and so you'll see a lot of different styles of bots in here. Here's the machine that might print the bots, but you'll see that there's different things from let's see, there's like a tea kettle here and a fan and some computer parts, and there's a rice cooker, and so there's a lot of homemade bots in Botland, and I'll talk more about that later, I think. So then here are some more detailed sketches that we have, or at least bigger, I guess. These are all just pen sketches. Remember that you might eventually see a bot that looks like this in the game, but it won't look exactly like this. It'll be colored, it'll maybe be shaded, it'll be a little more detailed than this. So yeah, we see some different ideas here. And I like a lot of this. I definitely think the artists all did a great job. What you'll be looking at as I go through this document is art from 4 different artists. So there we go. And now here is one of the other artists who did this. This is an example of a bot that you might find in the arena. It's a cute little bot. You can see its circuitry inside. It's got a giant fist. Maybe that's what it uses for melee. We still have to work out some of these details. Then here is a dragon bot. One of the things that we've talked about in Botland, and you'll see this concept come up a little bit later, maybe in the second round of concept art, is that you as a player of the game will get to customize your bots. What that means is you'll probably have a head piece, so you can see this dotted line here. You'll have a body piece, and you'll have a legs piece. And you've probably seen this concept in other games. There are a lot of games that have done something like this. But this way, if you want, fearsome dragon head, but maybe knight armor on your torso and maybe hover legs, you could do something like that. And here we've got a couple of examples of this. And we've also got different ideas for lasers. And this was something where what we said is we'll definitely have different levels of lasers, and we may want them to look visually distinct. So here's an idea of that. And remember that this is all concept art. We want to just see what sticks, what doesn't stick, what looks good. So here we've got that same idea applied to another kind of weapon, but this time it was a variation. So now these might all be the same level, but there might be an acid cannon versus a freeze cannon versus a magic cannon, something like that. So here's how they might look different while still maintaining the same shape that you have. Remember, all these weaponry, they're facing to the left. They might shoot out of the left side, I think. Maybe out of the right side, actually. I always pictured it out of the left side. But now that I look at it, no, I think it's out of the right side. This, I don't want to talk about too much, but since I've already shown it on screen now, I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. Our working name for the company inside Botland that produces Botland is Omega Corp. And we're probably going to need to change that because I looked this up and it turns out there's a real life, at least a couple of companies that are called Omega Corp. And it'd be kind of weird if we came up with a company name like, Google that already exists and it just happens to be in our game too. So anyway, Omega Corp makes Botland, and that's all you need to know for right now. So here is an Omega Corp representative. This is someone who you might find in Botland when you go to play the game. And I like the little notes on the side here. You can read those. Here is what Omega Corp itself might look like. it's a floating city in the sky, which I think is pretty awesome. You can see some helicopters, although we don't know how close they are exactly, so maybe this is incredibly large, maybe it's not, but then you can actually see buildings on top of here. Now remember, this is concept art, won't show up in the game, but maybe you catch a glimpse of Omega Corps sometime in the game. Maybe you get to go to their headquarters to build new bots. Not totally sure how we want to go with this yet, but this was just the first round of concept art. So then down here, we have more ideas for robots. This was, you can see missiles firing out of here, and it's kind of a lunchbox shape. Here we have another couple of ideas for bots. And here you see a battle taking place. And this is the first part in Botland, the first concept art you've probably seen that'll give you a bit of an idea of scale here. I know it's funny to say that when there's a banana, given all the Reddit memes about this, but you can see some people in the background, and again, you don't know exactly how close they are, but these are not very large bots. And that's something that we consciously wanted. We don't want the idea of, look, these bots have missiles and lasers and things you typically associate with war. We don't want any sort of fear in the game around, wait, why haven't these bots just turned on humans yet? Essentially, if you imagine an ESRB rating for this game, I wouldn't want it to be higher than T. If you had bots with saws and knives and they, yeah, anyway. So let's see what we got here. This is, I think these were just some sketch ideas, not with any particular direction. There were some bot parts, there are some pieces of hardware here. And so now we have some full bots. And I like some of the ideas that are, oh, whoops. I really should have turned off my, sorry, I don't know how much of the screen you can't see. So hopefully I'm showing this. Okay, now I've got an idea of where my face is on the screen. So yeah, you've got some different bot ideas here. Ninja Spider Magna bot. And you may or may not see some things influenced by these concept art, like a cat bot. I'm sure we'll have some sort of cat themed bot in the game. So now here is this artist's take on the different kinds of lasers. And you might not see all these lasers in the game either. Like melting laser, I don't know if that's going to exist. Vampiric laser probably will. Magna laser, who knows. But you can see what these different kinds look like while all kind of having the same shape. And I like a lot of the ideas that are presented here. Like this overpowered laser, you can definitely see all the different batteries off the back of it, and it looks fearsome. But then you have something like bling laser. Does this give you money in the game? Maybe. Does it exist? Who knows? So yeah, we've got those. Now here is, I've talked about Omega Corp a little bit. Whoops. I was afraid that would happen. This is the problem with this, using this kind of PDF thing. But I'll just pan around this as I show you. So you can see there's an Omega Corp truck. It has delivered something, and you can see that there are some enthusiastic people watching their bots fight each other. And there's a billboard in the background saying, tomorrow's greener pastures today for Omega Corps. Here's a potential logo for it, where there's a hot air balloon in the middle of the Omega symbol. Yeah. Finally, here's, well, I think this is the last bit. Here is a set of schematics. This is such unwieldy software. I should have just loaded this in Chrome. Here's a set of schematics for how a bot might be assembled. And I like that there's this little infinity core here, and you can see the tank treads. And it came with some instructions. We can see a unit, a head attachment, torso, armaments, mobility parts. And there are some notes written here. And I like, well, yeah, I'm not going to talk, like I said, too much about the storyline. So that's it. That's the concept art, the first round of it. I went through all of this. I know it looks like there's twice as much, but it's because all of this was duplicated. So I've shown you all of this stuff. Like I said, I'll probably do a recap video of this, or a highlight video. And eventually you'll see this work its way into game art. And then what we're really hoping for, I told you guys about how there would be customization. We want to make a small app where we give you maybe 3 head parts, 3 torso parts, 3 leg parts, and maybe they don't appear in the game yet, but you guys would be able to customize it and show off what you think is cool. And yeah, so if it hasn't been made clear already, there is tons of work to do for Botland, and we're getting there.